name is Cher and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a really quick kind of tutorial on how to draw this eye here. My style of drawing is semi-realistic, and to get started I'm going to show you 3 different eye shapes today, and the pencil I'm using is the Royal Graphite pencil in 2B. And so to start with the sketching portion, I'm just sketching the shape of what I want my eyes to be. The first one I did kind of like an almond shape, but still open a little bit. The second one I'm doing is a wide eye, and then the third one is a very almond shaped, more closed eye. And it's really simple to start drawing the shape of it. You just start with where the tear duct will be and move on to, the round lines, the curved lines. And then you will put the iris in, and it's just a circle. You want to make it pretty large. And I don't do mine completely touching the bottom because then I go in and start drawing the water line in, which is just another line over the bottom line of the eye that we drew. And oh yeah, also the line for the tear duct. The next thing I do is go in and draw the pupils and try to make it as centered as possible and as perfect of a circle as possible. And this is going to be the darkest thing that you see, so I outline them pretty dark to start off. And next I will draw in some highlights. I'm not too particular about the shape because they change depending on the lighting of the room you're in, so I'm just trying 3 different variations here. And next I'm going to just start darkening the outer edge of the iris. If you look at your eye, it kind of gives you a nice reference on what the eyes should look like when you're done. And this next thing I'm doing is adding a shadow to the top portion of the eye. And then I will go in and fill in that shadow as well in a second. And for this video, I didn't change around where the eyes were looking, but you can absolutely play with like angles of the iris and where the eye will be looking in general. And now I am going in and shading the waterline and the tear duct because these are not perfectly white. So I'm just going in with some halftones here, nothing too dark. And then I am coloring in the pupils now, just to get a gauge of exactly how dark my darkest parts of the eye are, so that I can go in with the halftones and get a nice variation of shades. And then here I am just really darkening the outer edge of the iris once more because I want it to be as dark as the pupil. And then also now I'm shading in that shadow that we created. And when it comes to drawing and getting the lines really perfect, you can really go in and touch it up as much as you want, which is the awesome part about pencil and paper. And you can always go in with an eraser if you mess up quite a bit. But if not, then just make sure you're drawing lightly at first so you know exactly where you want the placement to be. Next, I'm going in and outlining the highlights so it's easier for when I fill in the rest of the iris with some shading and some lines. And what I like to do is start off by just drawing a couple lines in the shape of the circle, pointing inward towards the pupil, kind of like the spokes on a tire. And I'll start coming in from that outer edge of the iris, working my way inward. And you can really vary the length of the lines here. They don't have to be super precise or super perfectly spaced out or anything. The varied look is more natural and realistic. And then I will go in and draw lines going outward from the pupil. And some of them can connect. It's not, you don't have to be too particular with it. And then for however dark you want the eye to be, that's how dark you will shade. And I went in with a pretty dark eye here, so it imitates a brown eye. And then next I shaded kind of lightly for the second eye because I wanted it to be more of like a hazel effect. And then for the last one, I shaded the lightest, or I tried to shade the lightest, but it's a little hard to tell with the camera quality, I know. And so now that we have that done, we can go in and darken up the edges around the whites of the eye because I will shade in the whites in a second. And I just want to make sure I have a nice barrier so that the waterline does not get confused with the whites, as well as the tear duct. And just the same thing with the outer portions, just to really get the idea of what the shape will look like a little bit better. Trying to be more precise about where I place my lines now as they are darker and I do not want to erase. And then I'm going in and starting to shade. So I first did the tear duct a bit more because it is sunken in. And I did bounce around quite a bit here. I am also shading in the whites with a lighter halftone. I mean, if you look at a real eye, if you look at your eye, it is not perfectly white. There is quite a bit of shadow that is showing. So that's what I'm trying to get across here now, is that natural shadow around where the waterline is and the upper lash line. And once I am pleased with that, I go in and shade the waterline a bit more because it's looking a little light to me. You can leave it rather light, but I just like the look of a bit of liner in there. And then I will go in and draw a couple tiny little squiggly lines for the veins. We do have veins that are visible in our eyes, and those can be very random. You don't have to make them super precise. And now is the fun part, which is the lashes. I wanted to kind of get a different shape of lashes for each. So first I'm just sketching out what the general shape will be. And then I will go in and start really adding more lashes. And what you want to do is just start from the lash line and wisp it outward and kind of get the more chunky effect at the base of where the lash line is. So I'm kind of going over certain lashes multiple times to make them look a little clumped together, just give that more realistic appearance. And you can also draw in some of the lashes overlapping the eye itself because it will give a more realistic effect as well. Now onto the bottom lash line. And obviously you want to do less lashes for the bottom. Again, just mapping out the shape of where they will lay. And I'm not being super precise with this, just kind of wisping it out as I go along, making some longer where I feel like they need to be longer, and so on. And next, I am just adding the crease of the eye in. And I try to do varied shapes of the eyes. So with the first one, I'm making it what my eye kind of looks like, which is an almond shape with a slight bit of hoodedness, not too much, and then just kind of shading upward from that crease to get the effect that it is sunken in a bit more. And then the second eye I did was a more rounded, open, wide eye, so I went for that look. And then the third one was more closed off, so I did it closer to the eye. And definitely this is a hooded eye, so you want to kind of give that effect when you are shading. You can do the shading below the crease to make it more visible, as I'm doing here. And then that's basically it for your eyes. Obviously, you can add more shading in where you see fit. Here, I'm just kind of giving you a demonstration of what I would do as my next step in drawing faces. I generally always start with the eye and then I go from there. Just gives me a kind of good starting point. As you can see, I'm just adding in where the nose would be, the eyebrows, so on and so forth. And I mean, anything that you start out with as a sketch can be made better with shading and more precise lines. Obviously, I'm just giving you a very rough outline here. And then as a final step, I decided to go in and just put a little line for the eye bag under your eye, or the crease that's usually there that we try to hide. And that is all. Thank you so much for watching this video.